Welcome back. Know your rights. You may be hearing this phrase more and more as the Trump administration continues to really make its presence felt in its efforts to deport undocumented immigrants in Chicagoland. Presence of ICE never been more felt than it has in recent weeks, and now prepare for the National Guard to be in the area. We are joined this morning by Howard Enkin of Enkin Law. And Howard, we appreciate your time this morning. Yours is a personal injury firm. What is your main message to folks if they do have an interaction with an ICE agent?
Well, what I'm telling people is you have to have your documents ready. When people are asking me about this and I say, like, hey, somebody that you know is being held in detention that should not be being held in detention, do you have a copy of their driver's license? Do you have a copy of their birth certificate? Do you have a copy of their passport? And to go around and start to look for those documents, you shouldn't be doing that right at the time that somebody's, arrested.
Got it. Okay. In terms of how to comport oneself if they do get approached, what message do you have there?
Well, it's like anything else. If you're pulled over, you have to give the police a copy of your driver's license. You got to give them a copy of your registration. You got to give them a copy of your insurance card. So you can't, you have to cooperate with police when they, when you're asked.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of distinguishing, I know a lot of these ICE agents, at least in the videos that I've seen on my social media feed and in the news, some of them appear to be mostly in street clothes and then they're masked. How are we supposed to know or delineate between, just to make sure that you're interacting with an actual agent?
Well, I don't think it's going to be one single agent that's going to come arrest you. And I think all that garb has, like FBI and ICE and, it's like, that they're a government agency. The problem is that you would think that these are government agents and that they're there to help citizens, not there to hurt citizens. But how I'm seeing it when people are calling my office is people are saying, no, I'm a public citizen. And then people are saying, hey, here's my wallet. And then they're throwing that to the curb. And then they're saying, we're going to figure this out later. So, the question is, if you're trying to document, are you a citizen or you're not? And somebody's showing you like a birth certificate that they're holding like on their, in their cell phone wallet, does it have to be an original birth certificate, or why isn't that we can't just say, hey, we're a citizen, and people are accepting that?
Yeah, I, for example, I'm not like walking around with my passport all the time. Sometimes I just, go on a jog or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, these ICE-free zones that Mayor Brandon Johnson kind of announced, I believe it was yesterday. Legally speaking, what's your reaction to that move?
It's kind of a stunt move that the mayor did. I think he had better stunt moves that he could have done. Yesterday, Kwame Raoul, our state attorney general, he filed suit against the federal government saying that it was wrong for them to use military for civil purposes here. I think he could have jumped on the bandwagon with that instead of this move. Under our U.S. Constitution, of what's called the Supremacy Clause, and, basically means that federal law is supreme. So I don't know how they're going to stop the federal government from using, local city property for that. Good stunt move. I think there was other better stunt moves that he could have done. I don't know why he could have had lawyers like myself called out the Chicago Bar Association and all the other bar associations to say, hey, let's go into the communities and tell people what their rights are. I don't know how we couldn't have been out like telling people, hey, get your documents ready. I don't know how we could have done, multiple other things as a stunt move. But as a stunt move yesterday, I think he could have got on the bandwagon with our state attorney general about this lawsuit more than the stunt move that he did yesterday.
We're out of time, but you are hearing from, your office is getting calls from folks regarding these interactions right now?
Yeah, whenever there's a problem, people are calling me at my office, Enkin Law, to ask questions about it, and this is unfortunately a question that we're getting all the time.
Okay, well, we should check back in with one another and just see how these things play out over the coming weeks and months. Howard, thank you for your time. Howard Enkin with Enkin Law, we appreciate it.